Hey guys, welcome to DevOps School. These days, everything is happening in the cloud. Cloud computing is a big shift from traditional way businesses think about IT resources, and Amazon Web Services is the world's broadly adopted cloud platform. So today, we are going to learn about AWS.
But before that, let me ask you a few things. Are you dreaming of a career with higher pay and more responsibilities? Or are you ready to take your skills to the next level this year? Then start investing in DevOps School certification level courses, which will help you to emerge skills for a wide range of entry level roles and as well as higher potential future positions. But with thousands of courses online and in classroom worldwide, finding the right one for your career goals can be difficult. You can consider our courses like Agile Developer, Agile QA, DevOps Certified Professionals, Site Reliability Engineering, DevSecOps, and Masters in DevOps Engineering, where you will have access to well-structured, easy-to-follow course content that has been developed and will be delivered by industry professionals. You can join on our training programs globally through online platforms, and if you are looking for classroom workshops, then we have regular sessions available in Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, Delhi NCR, Mumbai, and in Pune. Simply compare our many courses, find the one that suits your style and schedule best, and start today.
So, good morning to you, Prasanna. So, we are starting today with Virtual Private Network, VPC. This is where we left off yesterday. We left off with some questions, some problems, some goof ups. Let's try to understand that first, okay? So, whenever we give an IP address with a subnet mask, we see how many IP addresses are there in that, okay? So, what we'll see is the first IP address, okay, and the last IP address, which will be there, okay. So if I give /24, so the last IP address, the last block of the IP address, which will change, okay, that is this zero will change. So total number of IP addresses which can house in this CIDR block will be 256, okay. So let's say we created a subnet, okay, of 20/20, and then what happens is, in this, how many IP addresses will sit? They'll sit 4096 IP addresses will be sitting inside here, and the last IP address would be 10.0.15.255, okay. After which the other set of IP addresses will start, okay. So when we create CIDR blocks, so let's say I created a VPC which needs 4096 IP addresses, after which I need to go and create a subnet, okay. So when I create a subnet, so let's say I chose 24 here, okay. So this will be my first subnet, where my last IP address will be 256, okay. 255 means this will be the last IP address. Let me start writing them down so that we are just pardon me. So when we create a VPC of /20, so consider it is like a cake, okay. So it will have
4096
IP addresses, okay. IP is available, then we create a subnet, okay. So from this IP address we need to create a subnet now, okay. Let's go back again to our scenario. So here this is our starting IP address and this is our ending IP address, okay. So we cannot go beyond this, that is one thing. Next, let's say I chose 24, okay. So here in this subnet, how many IP addresses will be residing? So in this 256 will be there, and starting IP would be this.
Right.
Oh. Okay, and last IP would be 10.0.0
255.
okay. Now this is for subnet A. So what it says is the next subnets for the next subnet we cannot have these IP addresses.
Correct. Should start with something else. Okay, next one.
Okay, so if we do a B here, okay, and let's say we give like this, so what it is saying, the next subnet will also have this IP address. Okay, but what is the problem here?
The last no 20 is 0 dot something.
Okay.
Oh, okay, that's total. Okay.
Okay, so hold on, I'll show you something. So when you go with this kind of VPC setup, right? In this VPC, let's try to understand the start IP of this VPC, which will be 10.0.0.0. Okay, the last IP which will be available
10.0.15.
Okay.
255.
Okay, so this is going to be the last IP available.
Correct.
Okay. Now we need to divide all the IPs available internally.
Right.
Okay. So when we do something like this, so what is happening here? We are creating a starting IP which is this.
Correct.
And the last IP which is this.
Correct.
So which we can see that it is inside this allowed IP ranges.
Correct. Oh, that's +5 is the problem. No.
+5? No, not
okay.
+5.
Okay. Yeah.
So earlier what we were doing, I was giving 15 or 16, right? So it was going beyond this. That is what the problem was. So you.
Okay.
So I did not use this CIDR range
guide
website to show you exactly where we stand.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, so we are continuing with that one only. This VPC only.
Can modify that.
Okay. Creating new is always easy.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so we can see that what was changed there and how it was working. So I believe now it should be clear, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. The other thing which I want to talk here, Prasanna, that let me open up the diagram and show you. So this is an AZ. Okay, AZ1.
Right.
You will have only, you can have multiple subnets here. Okay, you can have multiple subnets here, but this subnet will not expand between two AZs.
Give me a second. Give me one moment. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so what I'm saying is this AZ, this subnet will not expand between two AZs. Okay,
Yeah, okay.
it is localized to a AZ only.
AZ.
Okay, we should make this concept clear first time.
Correct.
Now we see these two subnets, both are in US East 1A. Okay,
Right.
no problem. So what we will do now is we will create one more subnets, yeah, and we'll call it as public subnet AZ2, let's say, and we will associate with the, so availability zone, it was 1E, right? Both were in 1E. Yeah.
Okay.
And here, what I'm doing is I'm choosing something as 28. Okay. So what it is saying, perfect. Now, can you tell me what exactly is going wrong here?
So this is second subnet that you created is conflicting with that, right?
Perfect. Yeah. So what it is saying, let's go back to the drawing board again. So what I try to do now is I try to create a subnet C with this range. But if you see here, this is conflicting.
Correct.
Okay. So what is happening? This is overlapping between the subnet B. Okay.
Correct.
So last IP range, it is changing. So that is what the problem was. So how we can fix this? If we change it to 2, okay, we will get these many IP ranges. So which will start from 02 to 50. Okay. So let's try that. Okay. So it's all good. Okay. So this is public subnet AZ2, or if this subnet is small, you can name it as private subnet also. That is not a problem. Okay. So let's keep it as public.
Yeah, but you're creating in a different AZ.
In different AZ, yeah. Correct.
So you're having a VPC across the multiple availability zones.
Okay, yeah, so let's just discuss that as well. Consider this as an VPC, okay? And this will house different availability zones. Okay, let me rephrase the words because whatever I'm trying to say is not exactly what I meant. One VPC you'll have one VPC which is spanning across all the availability zone infrastructure. Okay, that is it.
Within the region, right? So can you go? You can't
VPC?
go.
No, that does not make sense. Having a resource which is outside of the region in your VPC. Okay, that is not possible. So this will be AZ1, AZ2, and AZN. Okay. So what we did is, let's say in AZ1, we created subnet 1, and then we created a subnet 2. In AZ2, let's say, what we did is we created a subnet 3. Okay, so this is what is, and all these things are relying inside a VPC. Okay, now Let's go back to our diagram. Okay, somehow I lost it yesterday. Okay, so what happens is there are other moving parts inside a VPC which makes it a bit difficult for initially for the people. So what we will do is we'll try to understand those parts now. Okay.
Sure.
So don't think about from the AZ perspective now, because VPC has no restriction there, but think from. So let's focus on different moving parts which are available in VPC. Okay. So this is subnet public. Okay, for the sake of discussion, and this is subnet private. Okay. So this is the VPC. Okay. Now I have an EC2 instance, and then one EC2 instance here, and one EC2 instance here.
Okay.
Okay. So in public subnet, we have enabled a setting called enabled assign public IP. Okay. It is true. And here disabled assign public IP as false. Okay.
That doesn't make sense, right? Sentence wise, disabled false, enabled true. Okay. Should be disabled true.
No. Okay. What I'm trying to say is
I understood, but this sentence doesn't make sense. Either you have to say enabled false or disabled true.
Okay. So now it is fine for you?
Yeah.
I was trying to say in both the terms.
I understood that, but this, to be on the precise sentencing, okay, it's fine. Okay. I understood your, yeah.
Okay, cool. If this makes sense, okay, fine.
Yeah.
So now we have this. The question comes is, how come a traffic which is incoming will be working? Okay, means how a traffic which is coming from outside will come and talk to my EC2 instance here. Let's talk about public subnet here. Okay, so you'll see different parts which are involved here. So whenever whenever you create a VPC, right, there is something called as internet gateway, okay, which sits on top of your VPC and gives it access to the internet. Just one job, internet gateway. Okay. So far here what we have talked about VPC. Okay, first thing, and then we have talked about
gateway,
subnets.
Okay.
Subnets can be
public or private.
Okay. Then we have also talked about internet gateway, okay, popularly known as IG. Okay, so we have talked about these three things, these four things so far.
So this internet gateway is that your machine's EC2 in the VPC going to access the internet, but nobody else is going to access this EC2, correct? Or is it vice versa as well?
I'll hold on to answer this question.
Okay, sure, no problem. Yeah.
So what we'll do, we'll first try to understand what exactly IG is doing here.
Sure.
So IG is attached to VPC. Okay, Okay, it is not attached to EC2 instance or subnet. So
Okay.
I believe I answered your question here. Okay, IG's sole job is to enable a VPC to access internet.
Yeah. So my question was about the inward traffic and outward traffic, not to the EC2 instance as such, but whole VPC itself. Anything
Exactly.
from
No, so that is where if you remove this, right, your VPC is not accessible from anywhere.
Right.
Because it is not available on the internet. So that is where I'm saying internet gateway's sole job is it's like a highway or a pathway to
to the internet world. Okay. So it opens up both the ways, right? That's what I meant to say. Okay. Yeah, I think I answered.
Okay. Tell me this, Prasanna. You have an HTTPS connection. You can only make a request if you don't get a response. So how we can say that it is enabled to get to internet?
No, there are situations that no, I wanted my machine like a private subnet. Maybe that is the answer. Private subnet EC2. I wanted to access internet, but I don't want anybody else to come into me. Only one-way traffic.
No, so you feel like that is one-way traffic, but that is not one-way traffic. You tell me, you make a request, okay?
Okay. Okay, maybe I understood your way of saying it, but my question was accessing that particular subnet from outside, anybody else.
Okay, let me say what you are trying to say. Let me rephrase what you are trying to say. You are saying my visibility should be hidden, but I should be able to internet access. Access internet.
Correct.
Okay? So that is where you will have something called as NAT gateway or NAT instances, which will do the address translation for you. So which will allow you to access internet, but not other people will be able to see that request is coming from you.
Right.
Okay. So that is where, but anyways, that is a different concept or question. Let's try to understand what we are learning.
Can you annotate that particular thing? I may look into later somewhere. NAT gateways. No, what was the name? Is it NAT?
We are going to use it.
Okay, sure. Okay, I'll wait for that.
Continue. We'll use it here.
Sure.
Directly. So that is where we'll make this diagram as complex as possible.
Okay. Cool.
So we got the VPC, means we got the internet access now. Okay. Then what happens is the other moving part here in the VPC would be our route table. Okay. So what it does is it will sit on top of your subnets. Okay. It will sit on top of your subnets, and what it will do is it will say like its only job is like a table where you will have something called as source. Okay. And then destination.
Right.
Okay, source to destination mapping. So it is like if your source is something you're inside VPC, anything like 10.0.0.0, and then it will be 20. So if anything which is coming from here, what I can do is I can send it to outside, any request. Okay, so outside would be 0.0.0.0/0. So this is all IPs. So this kind of mapping you will have in route table. So let me tell you how route table fits in this picture. So whenever you will make a request, okay, from inside the subnet, so first it will go to a route table. Okay. So what this route table will do, it will see where this request is going. Is it asking to go to a open internet? If it is, then route table will send it to IG. Right. Okay. If this guy is trying to talk to another EC2 instance, okay, which is available here.
Right.
Okay. So that does not make sense to send this request to outside open internet.
Correct.
Okay. So what route table will do, will say like, okay, fine, no need to send this to outside. Let me send it to here. So you wanted a traffic which to talk to inside this subnet only. So you can directly go and talk to this guy. I'll not route the traffic outside. So that is like route table. If you want to have analogy of route table, consider router at your home. Okay. So router, what it will do, it will create a particular network. So it will be into 192.168.0.0 or 1.0 range. Okay. So route tables only job is to see what traffic it should allow outside, what traffic it should not allow outside. Okay. Similarly, this is a public subnet. So in this public subnet, what rule we will have? Route table is rule based. So what rule we will have? Any traffic which is going outside, let's give it to internet gateway. Okay. Similarly, on the
one note on that. So is there any rule that we have to set in the route table for to interact with? Okay.
Exactly. So we will set whatever components I'm talking now, Prasanna. I'll be showing you all those things. These are part of VPC.
Sure.
So we'll set all these rules. We'll see whether we are able to access internet or not. All these things we'll do hands-on.
Sure.
Okay.
No,
on
the right side, you put a rule this, right? Source is this, destination is this. Is there any similar rule that we have to put for talking within the subnet? Or is it understood there? Okay.
No, it's not understood there. We'll see that, Prasanna.
Okay. Sure.
Okay. So, but I'm trying to tell you the core concepts here. If you want, I can directly divulge into the.
No. Go ahead. No, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. You go ahead with your pace.
So, then similarly on the private subnet, what will happen? You should not allow any traffic which it is trying to hit outside, first of all. Okay.
Correct.
That is one rule. So you will have that. You will not have any rule which will take you to any outside open internet. Okay.
Right.
Then, but still you want to connect to internet, right? So what you will have is there is something called as NAT instances. Okay. So NAT stands for network address translation. Okay. Then these are the instances which we will create all by ourselves, and then there is something called as NAT gateways. Okay. So these are AWS managed and scalable. Okay. We need not have to worry about it. It's like fire and forget. Okay. So these are the this is the characteristic of NAT gateways. But in NAT instances, they are limited to the type of instance which you chose. Okay.
What restricted to the type of?
Limited to the capabilities are limited to the type of instance you chose.
Okay, it depends on the instance of the.
If it is 100 GB, they'll be very good. If it is 2 GB, you will not be able to get proper throughput.
So you mean to say NAT instance itself or the subnet of the EC2?
I'm talking about NAT instances here.
Okay, got you.
Not subnet or EC2 instances. NAT instances. So NAT instances will be limited to the type of instance, their capabilities. Okay, will be limited to type of instance used to create them. Okay, let me explain this in simple terms. So let's say you chose a T2 micro. Okay, small instance. You cannot have, or you should not assume that it will be able to take a load of 100 of EC2 instances running inside private subnet. It will get overwhelmed, right? It does not have capacity to handle that.
Right.
Then it is 1 GB RAM machine, so you cannot assume that it will be able to handle 100. But let's say on the same ground you have a metal machine, it is having 100 GB of RAM, so it can perform that operation, right? But that is where the NAT instances go wrong. Means user has to be aware of its own capabilities, like how much load they want, based on which they have to instantiate a NAT instance on that type of machine. But with NAT gateways, they are highly scalable and managed by AWS, and they can upscale themselves to close to 40-45 GBs throughput, okay, network speed. So that is pretty much auto scalable. So that is where people use it. And the second thing is, let's say you have a NAT instance, NAT instance in some subnet, which is inside a particular AZ, and let's say that instance went down. Okay, so if that instance went down, then that particular AZ's private subnet EC2 instances will lose the
connectivity,
internet connectivity, right? Similarly, but let's say if you have highly available architecture, right, and you have the EC2 instances in different AZ and the subnets there as well, and then what you have to do is, like, you have to create the NAT instance there as well, and then do all those kind of translation. But in NAT gateways, how it happens is, NAT gateways are automatically highly available. All you have to do is you have to choose that you should initialize NAT instances in all the AZs. So that will take care.
Okay.
Okay, if this is not making sense, we'll check in hands-on.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
so
a little bit tough, confusing, but I think
it gets confusing, Prasanna. VPCs are confusing. So if you can build VPC all by using your memory, then you are in pretty much good shape, because VPC have moving parts. So if you're not able to understand, I can understand that.
Sure.
So so far what happened is, what we'll do now is, we'll go and enable a public subnet and see if it is able to connect to internet. Okay. So we'll go to our portal, and this is one public subnet which is in US East 1A. Okay, so we have all these subnets available. What we will do now is, I talked about route table. There is one more moving part available called as NACL. We'll see that in some time.
Okay.
Before that, let's go to route table. And before we see our created demo VPC, this is from our demo VPC.
That's the default one came in?
Yes, main route table. So whenever, let me write it down, Prasanna. So whenever we create a VPC, okay, so it will create a route table, NACL, and it will not create IG if I'm not wrong. I believe for now, let's keep it here. I'll just recollect here if I see anything else created. Okay. So it is creating a route table and a default NACL. Okay, so this is the main route table. In this, we'll have something called a summary, then routes. Okay, so here you can see that destination, if anything is coming for a destination, like, okay, I want to go to open internet, or internal anything which is coming to route table, target is local, means that traffic will not go outside. Okay. Then you will have, one second, this is our demo VPC. Okay, Prasanna, this the VPC which we created. Now I'll show you for the default VPC. Okay, so for default VPC, Let me show you how the route table looks. Okay, so any traffic whose destination is inside, like private IP pinging, so that traffic will be internal. Okay, it will not go outside. But any traffic which is trying to access a destination which is open internet, this stands for open internet, or any IP which does not belong here. Okay, so we are trying to hit it to IG, internet gateway. Okay, so route table, what it is saying is any traffic which is coming to me for open internet, let it go to IG.
Why is it 170, 172? Is that what we picked up?
No, Prasanna. See here, this is the VPC which we created, this one, demo VPC.
Correct,
This
correct.
is the VPC which is default by Amazon in this region for us.
Correct. But I'm trying
This
to
is
understand why is the range 172.31 came
this is
into
the
picture.
default VPC which the AWS picks up, but ours is this. You can see ours. Ours
Correct.
is this. This is what we chose, right? But this is default VPC, right? Default VPC, Amazon can take anything. So this is what they take.
Okay. So this is the destination. So that 172.31.0.0/16.
Okay. Okay,
What
let me show you something else as well. Okay. Okay. So when we created our VPC, what we chose, can you tell me? We chose a CIDR block, right?
correct.
This is our CIDR block which we chose. Okay.
Correct.
And we did some kind of calculation and we came up like these many IPs will be available.
Correct.
Now, Amazon give us a default VPC. That is why we were able to create a EC2 instance and then do all those things, right? They chose this CIDR block.
Okay. So the default is not for our VPC. It's just created on its own because of the default VPC that was there. Okay. I was just thinking that it is for us. Okay. It's global.
That is where I was trying to tell you. No, it's not us. When you log into a particular region, right, you directly went ahead and created an EC2 instance and did an SSH.
Right.
So you should think, right, in order to get the internet access, you need all those things configured. So who did that for you?
Right.
Okay. So that's where we need to see. Okay, Amazon by default they provided us. 1 second. Yeah. So that is where we got that. Okay. So what I was trying to show you, as you asked a question, I had to stop in between. I was trying to tell you the different rules available. Okay. So this rule tells any traffic which is internal should be internal only. Okay. Any traffic which is trying to go to outside, let's give it to internet gateway. Okay. Okay, let me show you what exactly, where exactly we stand in our presentation. In our VPC, we have something called as demo VPC. In this, we have this CIDR block. In this demo VPC, what I can do is I can filter it, right? So in this demo VPC, we have these many subnets. All these subnets have different CIDR ranges. And then we have this particular main route table. Okay, route table or route table. So in this, we have this
role.
And then we have these subnets associated. Now, hear me what I'm trying to tell you. Usually what people say, we don't use the default route table available. Okay. So let me tell you why. Private route table. So this is demo VPC. And so we created, we'll create one more. And we'll attach it to demo VPC. Okay. Now we'll do subnet associations, Prasanna.
Okay.
So public, what we will do is we'll associate the public subnets. Okay. The private one, what we will do, we'll associate the private subnet. Okay. Now you will see that in the main root table, no subnets are attached. Okay. I'll just go again. What I did, I'll tell you.
Okay.
In the diagram. So first of all, I created two root tables. Then the way I put them here on top of a subnet, right? I did exactly that. What I did, I took a subnet and associated with it with a particular route table. So for in this case, this will be named as a private
route table. Okay.
Route table, okay. And this will be a public RT. Okay.
So we also have a main route table outside of this.
Exactly. So main route table is created by AWS. So usually all over the internet, people say don't touch it. So default one, we'll play around with our own. So, but we can do all these configurations there as well. But I'm just trying to tell you what best practices everyone follows. Okay. But if you want, we can go ahead and try to do that.
Yeah, no. That's fine. Yeah.
Okay. So public RT is this one. So what I did, I just created two root tables and assigned some subnets there. Okay, nothing fancy, nothing big. Then what we will do now is.
So one other question it makes me to understand here is that one subnet can be associated to one route table only.
One subnet can be associated to one route table only. Yes, correct. That makes sense, right? We were not able to see all those other subnets.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, so we'll see why it makes sense. Let's try to build up on the demo.
Sure.
Okay, so let's first see our public subnet, public route table. In this, we have a route like anything which is destination is this local. Okay, this is public route table, and we are inside our demo VPC. The one piece which is missing from the diagram is the IG here, right? So let's attach the IG to our VPC.
So you don't have a default one, so you have to create one.
No. Yeah. Default stuffs are available for default VPC.
Okay.
Not touch default. We are not talking default. Default is already there. We are creating our own.
Sure.
And yes, it is there. I'll show you. I filtered the console with the demo.
Yeah, I saw it.
Here I have filtered it, so that is where.
That's good to segregate so that you don't get confused. This is good actually to filter out.
Okay, so I have to remove this filter because this guy was not coming up. Okay, so because it is not attached to a VPC, that is why we were not able to filter. So what happens is whenever you create a internet gateway, it will be in detached state. Okay, you asked a question to me that can we attach IG to multiple VPCs, right? Initially, no, it is not possible. So what we will do is we have to select a VPC. Now here we are able to see only one VPC which is not having a IG. We are not able to see our default one. Okay, so
because it's already attached to something else. Okay,
so that is automatically answering your question.
Right.
Okay, so we attached our IG now. If you see the demo here, so we have the route table, we have the VPC EC2 instance, and we have the IG. So technically, our setup should work, right?
Yeah.
Or not?
I think rules are missing for the.
I'm sorry, I was reading something.
No, you have to be.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I stopped in between just to show you something. So I'm choosing a demo VPC here. And then after that, I chose
Oh, you're creating the instance there.
exactly. So I'm doing
Oh,
this.
okay. Oh, okay. Oh, this is required for that. Okay. This is the most important thing for me. Okay, this is my first question actually. When I started. Okay. So you're choosing that. Okay.
Okay. So I'm choosing a particular public subnet here. So here there are 2-3 moving parts which you should see. We are getting all the list of subnets which we created. Okay. First of all, which are part of a demo VPC. So you can have
Right.
n subnet. You will see that list here. Okay. So we have named it like, okay, it is part of US East 1A and likewise. Okay. So
Right.
I'm choosing this one, public subnet. And then after that, use subnet uh, uh, setting disable. Okay, so this is something important. For the public subnet, we need to make it enable. Okay, otherwise we'll not be able to do SSH.
Correct. Okay.
Okay? So what we have to do is we can enable it from here. Okay, and then move forward. Otherwise, you can come here.
I'll go to the VPC and see the machine under it.
In the subnets. So here you will see enable auto assign public IPv4 address. Okay.
So this is for the whole subnet itself.
Yes, you have to do it for whole subnet. You cannot do on and off for a particular EC2 instance. So that is where I have to come here and overwrite it. And
let's say if we make it enabled at the subnet level, and while creating the EC2 instance, I associate it to the public, but I make it disabled there. That's not possible, right?
We can do that. I have not tried Prasanna that.
Okay, fine, not a problem.
So we'll go ahead with this, what we are doing, but later if you want, you can try it out. If you want, I can try it out after that.
Sure. I'm just questioning. That's fine. So now you make it one
I'm not
public.
able to think of a use case where that will fit. So that's where I'm not able to.
Okay,
but it's a good question. Cool. So what we are going to do now is we are going to start a EC2 instance in a public subnet. Okay, and we'll see whether our arrangement is working. So what we'll do, we'll choose the demo VPC. We'll choose the public subnet. And this time you can see it is coming as enable. Okay?
Yeah, here is what I was talking about. Can I make it disable is what I was talking about.
Yeah, you can make it disable, but the point is then it will not make a sense for a public subnet.
Right. No, I was thinking other way around also. So let's say you disable at the subnet level, but enable at the machine level. It's a vice versa question.
Okay, let's stop beating the bush.
Sure.
I'll go ahead what you are trying to say. Let's do that.
Okay, fine.
What I'll do, we'll continue with the demo a bit later.
Okay.
So let's see what will happen.
Okay.
You'll see there is no public IP address as of now. So let it come up.
I think this session is very informative for me. The reason being, I was trying to understand this one on my own. There were some misconceptions and all in air. Uh, I did not have the authenticity of what I've understood. Now it
So
made
that's
me
where the
to
problem, Prasanna. What I'm trying to teach you is the straightforward way, but you
correct.
have some questions which actually don't happen in practice. Anyways, let's go ahead here. So we will not get any DNS IPv4 public IP assigned to it. So
Right.
the gotcha will be, even if you have it in the public subnet, you will not have public IP address. So it will
Correct.
be kind of a private machine. But let's say even any of your public subnet machine got compromised, so internally it will have IP address, right?
Right.
Private IP address, so it will still can be accessed. But this was not part of the discussion, so I'll just
Yeah.
stop it here.
But you can't change it here?
No, we cannot. As far as I know, we cannot.
Oh, it's a okay, instance creation time only. Oh, okay.
That is why I was like, okay.
Oh, okay. I could have skipped that. Sorry.
Okay, so next, configure instance detail.
Public.
And this is enabled this time, and I'm just moving ahead.
Sure, sure.
Okay. So here the security group is saying allow SSH. Okay. And I have this key pair. So if you'll see this time,
I see IP.
you are seeing some IP addresses. Okay. So if everything is correct in our setup, right? So what we should be able to do, we should be able to SSH, right?
Correct.
So
yes,
what we have as of now, we have an EC2 instance in a public subnet, which have public IP address assignment enabled. We have a route table. We have an IG. So technically, based on the knowledge which we have as of now, it should be working.
Right.
Okay. So what we can do now is we can hit on this and choose EC2 instance connect and try to connect. So it will not connect.
Oh,
okay. If you want to see it in the action, means in the console, you can see it here. So it's a timeout, you can see it is blinking. Okay, because it is not able to reach to this machine. I'll tell you what point you are missing. Okay.
Okay.
Try to fix it, and then we'll move forward with our demo.
Okay.
So let's go to VPC again, or rather, let me show it on the diagram. You do have a EC2 instance. You do have a route table. You do have an IG. But if you recollect from our public RT route table, we don't have a route for the IG.
To connect to the IG.
Correct? We are missing that, right? Let me show you. What I'm talking here. Let's go to route table. Let's go to public route table. See here routes. See here we just have only one route, that is
local.
If anything local, if anything private for the subnet, keep it local. Don't let it go outside.
Right.
But we don't have anything for the
IG to go out.
Exactly. So So here I am choosing internet gateway.
Okay.
Okay. Save route. Close. So I got one more route. If anything outside, allow it through the internet gateway. Okay.
So this two, one is for to interact between the within the subnet, and then one is to go out. Correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
So you can see, right? This time I'm able to connect.
Right.
Perfect. So one thing we achieved, we made a public subnet which is able to access the internet. So let's try to do sudo yum update.
Mm-hmm.
It will just tell us that, yeah, it is able to download packages. Okay. So yeah, our connection is working properly as of now. Okay.
Right.
So now coming to the other part, let's instantiate a EC2 instance in a private subnet. So here you can see we don't have the auto assign public IP setting as enabled. So
Oh, because
that
you
is what
pick the
that is
private
what
one.
we wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we wanted. So what we will do now is we are just going ahead and enabling it as AWS, instantiating it in private subnet, and let's see. So this is coming up, right? So we'll name. I'm sorry, let me pull it down. Yeah, this is public EC2.
Mm-hmm.
This one is private.
Yeah. Can you please go to the diagram and let's relate to where we are? Just to
Yeah, sure. So this is your private subnet. This is your public subnet. Just
so
now we created an EC2 instance.
So we created a EC2 associating that to the private subnet.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Now what I'll do is, so our instance is up and running.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just check whether we are able to connect it to it, or not. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just to check with that. Yeah, there is a problem setting up the instance connection. So it is not able to connect. If you want, let's try to confirm it with the SSS session as well.
Okay.
Okay. Now the problem is this is having only private IP, so this does not make sense.
Correct.
Even for me to try. Okay.
Correct.
So we cannot connect to this from our open internet. So
Right.
part of our objective is achieved. Now let's see how we can make this EC2 instance connect to internet. Okay. That is one part. So what we will do now is, okay, let's do the other thing first. So we have already connected to our public EC2 instance, right? What we can do is, I can try SSH onto this EC2 instance.
Oh, from the, okay.
Okay. So what we can do is we can run the same command SSH -i and then that PEM key, and then after that this IP address. This IP address, private, this IP. Okay. The thing is, we have to copy paste the PEM file, whatever we have here.
Correct.
Okay. So there are multiple ways to do it. I saw scp command Linux. Okay, yeah. Okay, so the way we do SSH, right? Similarly, we can transfer. Okay, I'll tell you there are multiple ways to do it. So I logged off from the machine, EC2 machine.
Right.
One way is I'm already in this repo. This is the file, PEM file. Okay, I can do a cat on this. I got this stuff. Whatever I have, I can do a copy. After
Then
which, yeah, so this is something which we should not do, but setting up a Bastion host is not what we are trying to learn here. So what we can do, I will say it's a jugaad way.
Indian way, okay.
Yeah, so not Indian way, but that is what I'll tell you SCP as well. I don't I don't have that command handy, so I'll just try it and I'll show it in front to you. As simple as that. Okay, so the file name was, if I don't, aws.pem. So what I can do is I can do nano.
Oh, you want to create a file with that? Okay, copied value. Okay.
Okay. Nano AWS demo
.pem.
Control P and so what I can do now is I'll check the ls. I'll try to list down the content of this file. So it is there. After which what we'll do is we'll click on private and
connect.
Connect and then copy this. Okay.
Sure.
So we are inside this.
Cool.
Okay. We are from a public subnet, we are accessing a private subnet. This is similar to what usually jump boxes do. Okay. Now, now let's try to do something like sudo yum update -y. So we cannot, we don't have access. Let's say we do a curl on fp.com. We cannot. Okay, let's see. We do a ping on google.com. We cannot.
So one clear question. So how did our public subnet machine was able to connect to the private? What is the connection between them?
Okay, that's a good question. So all these subnets, right? They are part of the VPC. Okay, so that's where you were able to connect.
So there's no rule required for that because they are under the one sub big tree. They can communicate themselves.
Let me show you the rule. What is available by default? Okay, private subnet. Now, destination which is coming from anywhere means inside this subnet, that is local. And similarly, here as well in the public as well.
Okay. This rule applies for within the subnet or the intra subnet under the VPC.
Exactly.
I understand.
Now there is one more thing which I want to talk here. It's a fine print stuff. Then you should have a question, Gaurav. I have a rule here that is going to internet. Right? It's not applying here.
Right.
We should ask that question. That is an interesting question. Then I'll answer it like this. You have this route table. This route table is associated only to public subnets.
Correct.
Okay. So the rules will only apply to the associated subnets. Subnets. So that's where these rules are not applied to the private subnet. And similarly, in the private subnet, you have only this private subnet associated. So now, are we in the right track now? We are able to understand what we are doing? Okay, perfect. So the next job should be to enable this private EC2 instance to access internet. Okay.
NAT instance, okay.
This is instance store. Anything available on?
So you're creating a new machine?
So I'm sorry? Yeah.
You're creating, okay.
So NAT instances are an EC2 instance.
Oh, okay.
You recollect what we were talking here, like NAT network address, NAT gateways, and NAT instance. So NAT instance, I was repeatedly saying like capabilities are limited to the type of instance you.
Yeah, I had a question. Why are we talking about instance capable? Okay, and now this is actually EC2. Okay.
Okay, it's a flavor of EC2 instance.
Okay.
Okay, so its only job is to send data. So how the flow will work? Let me draw it down so that the private instance will first hit the route table.
And route table connects to the NAT instance. Okay.
Route table will transfer the outgoing traffic to the NAT instance.
Okay, because it can't go outside. Okay.
Exactly. And then the route table, the NAT instance will
take it to the ops. Public art, is it from here?
I'm trying to get the array.
A little bit tricky with this drawings.
Trying hard, Prasanna. Just for you.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Oops.
This is tricky.
Say control when you draw it, yeah, control X and then put it. Yeah.
Okay, so this will hit here, and then the traffic will go outside. So these are the hops.
Okay.
So let's try to build it and see how it works. So I searched an ad, I got something.
So these are not natively available.
Correct. The actual AWS documentation, or what people say, is like we should not use NAT instances anymore.
Oh, okay.
So we should use the NAT gateways with the sheer limitation which we talked right earlier. So that is what the problem of NAT instances are.
So you're associating into the public subnet, okay, and public, okay.
Correct. Now, in the NAT instances, we should see something interesting. We should add the HTTP and HTTPS traffic, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have HTTP, we have allowed HTTPS. Let me go to previous, or rather all TCP. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Launch. So what I did is, if I would have had not allowed that HTTP or HTTPS traffic, right? So it will not give me internet access. Remember, security group, it sits on top of network interface, and even if NAT instance should translate the traffic, whatever is coming to it, let me come here. So you have this security group, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is encapsulating this NAT instance. If let's say the security group itself is not allowing traffic, so even if NAT instance is supposed to give access to internet, you will not be able to access internet, right?
Right.
That is what I did. I changed the rule of security group.
Security group. Okay. Okay. Okay.
So this is the NAT instance. Okay. So now we'll go back. I'm copying this ID. Let it initialize. Then there is one more setting which we need to check in the NAT instance. Let it initialize, then I'll change. As NAT instances act as a facilitator between the requester and the open internet. So there is something called a source and destination check. So it's like if the traffic is not originating from you, so AWS will restrict that traffic, or instances will not allow that traffic as a forwarded traffic. You are trying to create a request from here, it is coming till here, which is also a EC2 instance. Okay, so it is EC2 instance characteristic is like it will check from where the traffic is coming. So if it says like traffic is not originating from the own EC2 instance, it will not forward it, or it will not make a request. So what we are going to do now here is we'll just disable that check. Okay, so change source destination check, yes, disable.
Okay. Can you come again, please? Can you come again, please?
So what I did is I went to networks, source destination check. Earlier it was enabled, so I
now
went
disable.
Disable. Yeah,
yeah. So why is that? Can you go back to the diagram and yeah.
So EC2 instances don't allow traffic to move forward if it is not originating from them. NAT instance is a facilitator.
Right.
Okay. So traffic is not coming from NAT instance. Traffic is coming from this EC2.
So in order to forward it, we have to disable it. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Then we have our NAT instance running. We'll go to our private route table. We'll add a rule. Any traffic which is going outside, target would be NAT. Target will be an instance. ID would be NAT instance. This way. Okay, and then we will save the root. We have new root, and this status is active. So what we can do now is we can try Perl. Okay.
Super.
So we are able to do the google.com. If I'll do a curl on www.google.com, you will see a document like this. Okay, so we are able to access internet. Let's do sudo. Let's do sudo yum update hyphen yes. So no packages marked for update. So it seems like everything is updated. That's right. Okay. So we are able to connect to internet now.
So one, maybe I have to wipe off some stuff here. So we were able to connect from the public other EC2 instance, but it's not able to because it did not had the NAT settings on that other machine that we have.
Let's check it something. You can see it is installing a plugin, right? It's installed. If you don't have internet, it would have not done that.
Correct.
Okay, so that is what. Anyways, so we were able to connect internet. This is in private subnet, and if you have a doubt, let's do this. Let's clean off this instance. Terminate it.
Oh.
So far, so good, right? I'm not going to show this demo again. If it's done.
Sure. Yeah.
Means we completed one part, that is NAT instances and gateways.
So you also mentioned we should not be using NAT instance, rather you're going to use a NAT gateway. So are we going to cover up that? Okay.
Yes, we'll be moving to that. We cannot talk about everything at one time. So
no. I'm just thoughts came in so that I have some assurance that we're going to talk about later. That's all.
So we have this agenda, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah. Great. Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh, you're able to?
So that's where I said perfect.
What? You deleted it, right?
Yes, sir.
But still able to connect to the internet?
Yes, sir.
How?
Let's see, where is our private subnet demo. This is inside. He'll fix it.
Okay. Yeah.
US East 1E, and this is associated with a private route table. And let me just try it once more.
Maybe it's cached. Maybe you have to use a different website.
Call. No, if it is not working, it should not work. As simple as that. Call. Facebook.com. It's not accepting. Okay, just hold on.
Maybe the results were cached, probably. I don't know.
I know that, but I will not just go ahead with that thought.
Sure.
So you are seeing a response from 172. This CMP traffic is allowed. Okay, hold on. Can you tell me some package which you want me to install?
No, I'm not much in Linux, Dinesh.
Okay, hold on to it. Sudo yum.
Or you can, okay, the package.
No packages, node available, nothing to do. Okay. This is something interesting happening. So private route table. So you can see this. Now it is a black hole. This route is gone. Okay. Subnets associated with it is the
Right.
private subnet demo.
Which does not have the,
And then the subnet associated with it is private subnet demo. Okay. I am inside this guy only 10.0.72. Something.
No, it's 58, it is. Yeah, we are public.
Oh, Prasanna.
We're
That's
doing
where I was
wrong.
saying.
Oh God.
No. So that's where the interesting part was. I went ahead and okay, this is not right. This is what happens if we just okay. Let's do a curl here and do it for google.com. This is perfect. Hold on to it.
Why? Okay, fine.
Why this is going to 72? That was the funny part, right?
Yeah, you moved to 52, right? You connected there. Oh, 158.
That is where the
So only going
it
to
is 72. Yes. So
this
this is the
problem.
public IP address. Connect. This is what I have. And I'll just exit it. Clear off. And okay, but why it is giving me this login that is 72? It should give me public IP address as well. Okay. Okay. But when I'm trying to move to this one, private IP address, then it is not allowing me. Okay. This is a fancy stuff, Prasanna. Oh, I'm sorry.
What happened?
I'm sorry. I'm just so sorry.
What happened? I don't
I'll
understand.
just tell you.
Okay. You don't have the permission?
Yeah, we have to make the key as restricted, Prasanna. So I just need to give the file the proper permission. So when I'm using it, should not be accessible to someone else. So that is what, Prasanna. I'm seriously
Okay.
sorry. Yeah.
Okay, let me understand this. So why is this permission required? Like otherwise, I mean.
Okay, so this is related to Linux only.
Yeah,
Nothing else. So
right.
whenever you have a PEM file and you give it as input to the SSH client, right? So SSH client says if you'll make uh, if your file is not private, means it should be only accessible by one person, so someone else also can use it. Okay, so that is where the chmod 0400 permission comes into the picture. So you can go ahead and read about it. It has nothing to do with EC2 AWS or EC2. This is
So you
just
can,
the file permissions problem in the Linux world. If you want, you can just read about chmod 0400 permission.
okay.
This happens for PEM files only. Okay.
Okay.
So now we will do curl and on www.google.com. You will not be able to get that. Okay. So you can see a timeout is happening. Okay. And then we'll try the ping www.google.com. So you can see it is not happening.
Right.
Then sudo yum update by that will also not fail to set locale. Okay.
Control X.
Okay.
Escape. What's it? Oh, wow.
Okay. So we are not able to let me start the NAT instance again and show you everything. So not a problem.
So whatever you find in the marketplace, are they free or you have to pay for them as well separately?
No, AWS certified stuff might be mostly they are free. I'm choosing the free one, but yeah, there are paid AMIs as well.
Oh, the payment will go to the directly the private owners?
It should be like that.
Okay. Yes, so you don't require HTTP on this?
I did all TCP.
HTTP. You don't require HTTP?
I did all TCP. Let's see that.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll again disable the source destination check. Okay, and then we'll go to root table. We'll have the I'm in private root table. Edit. I'll go to routes. I'll go into edit route. I'll remove the current one. NAT instance 2. Save root. Close. Active. I'll go to I'll log in again. I'm inside 58, and this time I'll do a curl to I'm able to see that. HTTP and HTTPS are application layer protocols, but if you'll whitelist TCP, right? TCP is IP layer protocol, so indirectly it will
send all of them. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So then let's do sudo yum update -i -y. Okay, so this is connecting to internet now. What we will do, we'll go back again quickly and we'll just mercilessly kill this guy.
Okay.
Kill. 1 second. Okay, so now what we'll do, we have okay, this is shutting down. Let it shut down. Okay, it is terminated. Let's do curl. Okay, it is not working as it is expected.
Right.
Okay. Now what we will do is we'll go to NAT gateways. Okay, so where are gateways? Here somewhere. Here. Okay, so we'll be creating a NAT gateway, and
So
in which subnet we want it to be created. So ours is a public subnet demo, but which one is the subnet? Okay, this one instead of public subnet demo. The things whatever we did with the NAT instance, we'll be able to do with NAT gateways as well. Okay, so elastic IP allocation is also something which is we need to do. So NAT instances, they need an elastic IP to be associated to them. Okay, so elastic IP is like the something which will not change. It will be a fixed elastic. NAT gateways require elastic IP for that.
Okay, static. Okay.
And then I created the NAT gateway now. We will ask to update the root table. Okay, so here in the root table, in the public root table, we have like, okay, if anything is going outside, it will go outside. Now, in the private route table, we have this route, right? Where anything is going outside, go it to the NAT instance, right? So what we will do now is, just remember this is important. The status will change to black hole. There will be a direct question. If instance code got down, so what will be the status of root table or that particular route in the root table? Okay. So here we'll choose the NAT gateway as an option. We'll get the ID, we'll select that NAT gateway, and we'll do a save route. We'll move ahead, and then now in our diagram, we have removed this. We have a Do we have a NAT gateway? VPC NAT gateway. Yeah. We have a NAT gateway now. Okay, instead of this, and we have made changes in the table as well. Let's see if all is good or all is not good. Okay, so it is not working as of now. Let's see what could be wrong. So we'll go to NAT gateways and we'll see the IP associated, subnet associated, Elastic IP is there. It is available. Oh,
private?
yeah, my bad, I'm sorry. It is not allowing me to go back. Okay, so I cannot edit a subnet here, so I have to go and delete it. Okay. I have to create a new NAT gateway. Okay, it's not available. So it will create on the fly, edit route table, and we'll come here, routes, NAT gateways. Let's see, it got instantiated. It's coming up now. So Prasanna, do you have any questions as of now?
No, it's going good.
Okay, cool. So we are yet to cover one missing part in our VPC. Okay, that is NACL.
Right.
Okay, we are yet to touch that.
Sure.
Okay, meantime, when it is coming up, let's talk about NACL.
Sure. Hey, Gaurav, don't burn out because you mentioned in the beginning that you're not in a good shape. So
No, let's close this NAT VPC.
Sure,
I know
yeah.
it's tiring, and I know this is not easy. It's not
Right.
easy to teach. It's not easy to learn as well.
Of course, it's
like
giving trouble also. Yeah.
Okay, if you already mentioned you try to understand it many a times, but anyways,
Right.
that is not a problem. Let's see what exactly we are doing currently. Let's not leave it in between.
No, before you start a new topic, right? So let's have a logical end so that you will have a good rest.
Okay, so it is not going there. Where is the truth table? Private truth table roots. See, this is what I was suspecting, that I changed it a bit quickly. I should have had waited for it to come up.
Oh, it is still holding up to the old one?
Exactly.
EE. Two line FB. No, it's different, right? No, that's different.
Exactly, that is what I was trying to tell you.
Maybe you can copy paste from there. You can take the instance ID from there.
Sometimes it does not comes up. Add gateways. Okay.
Not accessible.
I believe there is something funny going on in the backend because it took time as well to create it.
Oh, it came up now. Why? What did you do now?
No, it's like not everything is flawless, right? So there are glitches everywhere.
Right.
Okay, you can see it's coming up now. Okay.
Right.
Perfect.
Sure. Very nice.
Okay, so what we will do now is I'll just quickly go and kill this guy as well. Okay, so before killing it, we understood the moving parts here, right? We should be fine now. Okay, now let me talk about security, NACL. Okay, this will complete this topic, TPC. Okay, so what is NACL? NACL stands for Network Access Control List, also known as VPC ACL. Okay, so Virtual Private Cloud Access Control List, or sometimes in the context of VPC, it is called as ACL.
Okay.
These are the three names we call it as ACL. So let's see what exactly it is directly. So under security, you will find network ACLs. I'm just removing the filter here to show what all ACLs you have. So this one was the default VPC available ACL. Okay, we did discuss about it yesterday, but it's a revisit.
Okay.
So in the inbound rule, you can see that all traffic is allowed. Okay. And then after that, we have also mentioned like 99 HTTP is allowed. Okay. This is one custom rule. If I'm not wrong, I would have had added. Outbound rule, these two things are allowed.
Right.
Okay. Let's come here and see. Here we are saying that all traffic is allowed. Okay. Let's do something interesting. Let's add a rule. Let's say 90 and say that HTTP is
allowed. Okay.
Denied.
Denied. Okay.
Okay. Similarly, so inbound is denied. Let's see if we can, if we have any effect there. Okay. So I'm inside my private EC2 instance. Let's do a curl to www. You are able to see my full screen, right?
No, I think on the top you're not able to see because you have the controls. So, yeah, I think you were able to do. Yeah, all this time you're doing it. That was helping.
Yeah.
No,
I was thinking wrong. Maybe it is just me.
Spell wrong. No.
Oh. Okay. So you can see we are not able to access it. Okay. Let's go ahead and remove this rule. Save it. Came up and you got the response.
Correct.
Okay. So let's still dig deeper. I'm still not satisfied. Okay. So what are ACLs? ACLs are like entry mechanism. Okay. Okay, when I say entry mechanism and all these things, okay, let me just rephrase this thing. ACL is just like a firewall. Okay. What is this? Subnet ACL. Okay. So in our case, this guy is sitting in between. Okay. All these, both of these subnets. So if we change any rule here, it will not allow the traffic itself to go inside the subnet. Okay. Right. Let me put it in a different way. You have a security group. Okay. So what you will do with the security group, you will have that security group around the EC2 instance.
Correct.
Okay. So a malicious traffic will come through your network gateway, through your route table, inside your subnet, and then you will stop it here. Okay, if you have a rule which is not allowing that. But think of a scenario, still means that traffic will reach to your network access card clear. Okay, and if there is a DDoS attack, I'm not sure how impactful you will be, but still you are allowing that traffic to come inside. Okay, but if you block a port or a protocol at the subnet level, that NACL level, that traffic will not at all come inside. Okay, your subnet. So NACLs are at subnet level. Security group are at instance level.
Right.
Okay. Then there is another part of NACL. NACL is not stateful, it is stateless. When I say stateless, so you have to allow inbound as well as allow outbound traffic
separately. Okay.
Okay, so it is like I just blocked the inbound HTTP and you saw that HTTP outside was available, but still it blocked it. Okay, so whatever, if something is not able to come inside, that does not make sense to think about outside. The scenario which we talked here, right? Request response. If there is no request coming in, so there will not be any response as well. So NACL sits on top of your subnet, and you can associate multiple subnet to an NACL, or you can have multiple access control list and segregate it to different subnet level security. Okay?
Oh, one second. So you're saying NACL can be spanned to multiple subnets.
That also, is what is happening.
Right. So is that the okay?
So you can see this NACL is associated with 3 subnets.
Okay. So there's a common rules for that. Common rules for all the subnets.
Yes. But if you want, you can create one more NACL and then associate the subnets, like private subnets, separately. Okay.
Correct. So is it is the opposite correct?
Is opposite correct?
Can I have multiple NACLs for one subnet? Does that make sense?
Multiple NACLs with one subnet. Okay.
For one subnet.
Let's create it now.
Okay.
Okay. And this is demo NACL. I don't have any subnet associated. And let's say if I associated these 2 subnets, let's go ahead with public subnets only.
Okay.
And I got these 2 associated, but you will see that they got kicked off from the original NACL where they were connected.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So it will be only one
to one. Okay, that's good. Okay. Yeah, because it's a set of rules. You don't have to have a set of rules to be spanned across NACL. So you can have one place to have it. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So when I went through all this training in the Cloud Guru, I was able to follow what they're saying it just for the sake of flow. but not in depth as right now I am. So I'm feeling happy that, okay, because I have a gist of things in mind. I have, like you, right? So you want to go underneath and then see what's going on.
Thanks for watching. To watch our complete session, enroll for our premium membership. Click onto the join button and enroll yourself with the best suited option.
Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries. We will reply to them at the earliest. Want to study further? Subscribe to our paid membership to get a deep dive into each and every topic. Do look out for more videos in our playlist and subscribe to our DevOps School channel and hit the bell icon to learn more. Keep learning.